on this edition of the Self-Publishing Show.
There's a lot of German readers out there. The market is not, I think, comparable to the UK. This could be, a no competition on both the platform and for the ads. The ads are much cheaper as well. It's a big opportunity to, really make some serious money, I think.
Publishing is changing. No more gatekeepers. No more barriers. No one standing between you and your readers. Do you want to make a living from your writing? Join indie bestseller Mark Dawson and first-time author James Blatch as they shine a light on the secrets of self-publishing success. This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Yes, hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of the Self-Publishing Show. I'm James Blatch.
And I'm Mark Dawson.
We've been in a special busy week this week where we've been reviewing the paid ads platforms to coincide with the opening of Mark Dawson's Ads for Authors course. And we have looked so far this week at Facebook ads with Shane Silver's BookBub ads with Dave Cochran. And today, the master himself, the Meister.
But he couldn't be here, so it's me instead.
Is going to talk about Amazon ads with a particular example of your move into Germany. Now, before we do that, I have some Patreon subscribers to welcome to the Self-Publishing Show. So if you go to patreon.com/self-publishing show, you can sponsor the podcast for as little as $1 an episode. You get a bunch of benefits as part of that, but the main one is you get enrollment in the SPF University. And this is not a real university, but we try to do a webinar about once every month, a live webinar, and then it's available in the folder on Teachable forever after. We have our next one coming up is going to be on BookBrush, as Mark mentioned in one of the podcasts earlier this week, which is a fantastic little program that enables you to create sharp-looking ads for your images for your ads, and that's going to be on July the 2nd. But also back in the archive, we have Gwen Hernandez on Scrivener. We have Tammy Lebrecq on newsletters. Who else did we have?
Adam Croft, Mindset,
Adam Croft,
me.
We had K-Lytics with Alex Newton, and there was one other, which escapes me for now, but a really fantastic lineup of webinars. Right, and our new Patreon subscribers, you also get a shout out on the Self-Publishing Show. And this week we welcome Dixon Rule from, no address, Chad Richardson from Georgia, United States of America, Malcolm Kuhn, Zoe Burton, never quite sure, Mike McCrary, and Laurelyn Thompson. I love the name Laurelyn, it's a great name. Great, thank you very much indeed, Dixon, Chad, Malcolm, Zoe, Mike and Laurelyn for joining us at the Self-Publishing Show. Now, I've been looking at a few of those lists that get circulated occasionally of the podcasts you must listen to if you're an author, and we feature in every single one I've looked at this week. I've just been looking at the top 36 podcasts for writers, and we're very prominent in that this week, which is great. So we do appreciate your support and the reviews that we get on iTunes and the comments we get on YouTube. We get regular comments on each video we put out, and sometimes they're positive.
Sometimes. Do you remember the other day we got a message from someone who told me off for being nasty to you?
Yes. Well, that was a private message to you.
It was,
but it contained a really barbed insult to me. It was something that was far more hurtful when he was defending me to you, saying
it's a she.
I should. Occasionally, people do so. I think,
and she is. We should say she's lovely. It was a lovely. Yes, she meant very well by the email, but it was. Yes, I think
socially awkward. I think was the phrase
you were described as socially awkward, which of course is correct. You are very socially awkward in a Partridgian fashion, but no, it was. I think it was one of those lost in translation things because we've known each other for a long time, so we have what we would describe in the UK as banter, which can be. It's not cruel or anything like that. It's just you'll take the mickey out of me, I'll take the mickey out of you. We both take the mickey out of John.
Yes.
And we don't mean anything by it, but I think this lovely listener suggested that I was piling on a bit because I called you a goldfish. I've called you much worse than that. Than a goldfish. And I had to email back and say, like, no blatches were harmed during the filming of this podcast.
It was like podcasting with a goldfish was your exact quote when I forgot something.
Exactly. Yes. Which is that's very mild. I mean, we could.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nothing.
I love the banter, and the more it's always got to be funny. Occasionally, it can go too far, but not between us. I think it's always been about the right level. And I spent a bit of time in RAF squadrons when I was a BBC reporter, and I absolutely loved the banter in that environment. It was brilliant, very funny. And
it's usually as a means of deflecting, danger and peril. Like I'm not sure we can use the same.
No,
the analogy doesn't stretch to making a little podcast, but so don't worry. If anyone's worried, we like each other. And
it's your role in life to regularly remind me of my incompetence.
Pretty much. I'm trying to drag you up. That's the aim here.
Good luck with that. Okay, we do enjoy it. So thank you very much indeed for all your support. It means a lot to us. It's been a busy week for us putting together these particular episodes on paid ads. Today we're looking at AMS ads. I definitely want to say thank you, by the way, to Dave Cochran and Shane Silvers for their contributions this week. We really appreciate it. So, Mark, we should say straight away that one of the reasons we're doing this is because the Ads for Authors course is open. I'm not going to bat on about it a lot, but just to say that it's open and it gives us an opportunity on the podcast to dovetail with why paid ads are important. And why don't we just spend a moment on that? So let me ask you, is it possible to be a successful indie author without running paid ads on these platforms?
I think it's possible, but I think it's less possible than it was when I started. When I started out in 2012, 2013, you could get a little bit of momentum by taking advantage of free days. And then, even in those days, you needed to put the word out, tell people that you had a deal on. And the way you did it in those days was to use sites like e-reading News Today, Pixel of Ink, Kindle News Daily. I'm going to struggle with some other names now. FreeBooks was around then. BookBub was coming, and all of those places didn't send those emails out because they were altruistic. You had to pay them to do that. So you've always, I think, had to pay something to spread the word. And those sites are still effective. Some of them are dropped by the wayside. Others are still going strong. BookBub still going strong. FreeBooksy, Barking Booksy still effective, but they're less effective now because times have moved on and different means of reaching readers have been made available. And the chief one to start with was Facebook ads around about 2013, 2014. And then subsequent to that, Amazon ads came along. And I think, just look at an Amazon product page now. That's where people are going to be buying your books. First of all, you've got, there's millions of books that you've got to compete with, most of which won't be being advertised. So you can immediately jump to the top 5%, say, just by spending a little bit on ads, because most people won't either know that they can or know how to do it properly. So you can do that. And then once you get onto the pages themselves, they are littered with ads now. So you need to, what I would call defensive advertising or protective advertising. You need to start thinking about that as well. So the whole thing it's constantly evolving, but in order to give yourself a fighting chance of selling books beyond the professional product that you need to put out, you have to advertise. I think that's the case now, and I don't see that changing. In fact, I see it becoming more prevalent as we continue onwards.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, you've mentioned Amazon ads and the page there, and this is a platform that's grown up since our time together actually on SPF. It's appeared. I remember those early beta days you were invited in to try it out and kept telling us there's something coming that you're going to announce. And it's been a platform, which I say at the beginning, it's evolved, changed quite a bit, which has been fantastic for us, hasn't it? Because we have a detailed blow-by-blow course on it, which means every time it evolves and enhances, somebody has to sit down and re-record all the sessions.
Well, that's me, and then you have to edit them. So yes, I mean this week I spent 2 days or so re-recording everything. So my word count this week is negligible, but I've spent a bit of time changing things because things like product display ads have gone away. So we've changed those, and lock screen ads have taken their place, and we've also had to change our advice with regards to getting into the Advantage platform, the Advantage login. That's different, and so there is a lot to be done. And one thing that we try very hard to do is to make sure that when we release the course, it is current. So what we don't want people to do is to log into the course and find out I spent a whole module talking about product display ads that don't actually exist anymore. So that's something that we do take that seriously. pain in the ass, but there you go. You got to do it.
We have to time that because you don't want to. As soon as a change comes out, you do have to let it settle down a bit and also be rolled out in various territories.
I don't want to worry you, but I do know I have been talking to some fairly senior people in Amazon advertising, and the changes that have been made recently, without saying too much more than this, I think that they are likely to be minimal compared to what's coming.
Yeah, I understand. There's something big coming down the line as well. So, okay. Let's just mention Advantage for a moment. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of a sort of overview of the platform, the Advantage dashboard versus the dashboard you can get access to through KDP is different. Can you just explain that? And also, what is the position? We get asked this all the time about who can access it.
Yeah, so if you imagine Amazon advertising as a big system that enables you to place ads on Amazon for everybody. So you might be selling widgets. You want to advertise your widgets. You might be selling books, maybe a video or music, whatever it is. You want to advertise it on the platform. Stands to reason. Now, most people who are using facilities like FBA, so fulfilled by Amazon, so selling their widgets, they'll put their widgets in an Amazon warehouse. Amazon will sell them on the site and then deliver them. Those people will be using ads to drive traffic to their sales pages and hopefully make sales. And the platform that they've always had access to is called Advantage. And it's been going for longer. It's been, I'm not sure exactly when it came into being, but it's been around longer than we've been able to advertise our books. And because of that, it's more evolved. The dashboard is more sophisticated. There are more bells and whistles attached. Very importantly, you can advertise outside of the US. So you can advertise anywhere where there is an Advantage program, which I know covers the UK, all the European countries, Australasia, places like that, Canada. And it has different varieties of ads as well. So you can do things, you can still do product display ads. You can't do those as authors technically at the moment. It has headline search ads, now called sponsored brand ads, that appear in great position on top of search results. So it's just a better platform, much more effective and more powerful for authors. The other way to get in as an author is to go in through the KDP dashboard. So you go to your bookshelf, you select the book you want, and you hit promote and advertise. That takes you through to an interstitial page. You then click, I want to run ads or an ad campaign, and that will take you through to a doctored version of the a kind of a limited way into the Amazon advertising ecosystem, where you can do lock screen ads, sponsored keyword ads, and you can only advertise into the US. So it's frustratingly limited, and authors, being clever and diligent and determined, have found ways to get into the main smorgasbord through Advantage logins. And I've been doing it for a while. I've got, I think, 5 different Amazon advertising accounts, which becomes very complicated when you need 5 different passwords and all that kind of gubbins. So I have a German account, 2 UK accounts, 2 US accounts, and we'll be doing France, Spain, and others shortly. It is a pain, but it's necessary. And the position from Amazon is, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I hope this is accurate, but they don't mind authors using Advantage, but you won't be supported if you do. So in the sense that you will get support if you go in through KDP, you won't be supported if you go in through Advantage. And I get the impression that it's becoming a bit of a hot potato in Amazon. I don't think that's exactly what they would like to be happening. I'm sure they'd rather it was all through the KDP platform. And I suspect, without knowing anything, so this isn't a spoiler or a scoop, that I suspect things will change. So the KDP platform will become more powerful as time goes by. Now, with a practical example, we got a post in the Mastery group from Caroline Cherry last week, or this week even, saying that she'd been trying to get in through Advantage, and a lot of people have been following advice which was working that we were giving people to get into the UK version, and it's changed now. So she wasn't able to, and she took out a ticket with Amazon support and got a worker from I suspect from Chennai or somewhere like that, basically saying authors are not allowed to do that. If you find any authors who are doing that, please report them.
Yeah.
So basically snitch on your fellow authors. So this was daft. I took it up with Seattle, someone I know in Seattle, and said that basically that person's day was going to get quite difficult after that point, because it wasn't Amazon policy. They do not want that to be happening. So in the sense they don't want authors to be snitching, and they don't mind authors, I think, being on that platform. Although, as I say, I'm sure they would rather we were all in KDP. So the long and the short of it is KDP is easy. It's very easy to get onto the platform, and it's much improved to how it was even 6 months ago. It is still possible to get into Advantage, although I don't feel confident enough now, because it changes so much, to be able to give a step-by-step, this is what you need to do. All of the methods that we have used in the past don't work anymore. So one of the things we had to do I did in the re-record of the course was to take that out. And the way we'll deal with it in the future is as we find ways to get into Advantage, or Amazon make information available that makes it easier for us to do that, we will post it in the Facebook group with videos if necessary, but that's easier for us to
that's
update.
The Facebook group that supports the course, which is Mastery. It's not available to everyone, and I think that's the right way to do it. I think it's probably, to be fair to Amazon as well, who would prefer people to use the KDP dashboard, although they know there's another way of doing it. Probably not for us to have an official session like we used to, of how to get round the system.
No,
but a discussion amongst authors in the Facebook group of what's working right now type thing may yield some of those avenues.
It's one of those things where we know that there's a tempting shiny bauble that's much shinier and more tempting than the official bauble. It's just human nature that we would want to get that, and as we'll see when we get onto what I'm doing in Germany at the moment, to be able to use Amazon ads in those other markets is very valuable. And also, I'm not doing this. It's not as if Amazon is doing me a favor by allowing me to advertise. They're very happy to take the money.
Yeah.
So I've spent, just looking at in the last 3 months in Germany, I've spent just short of €2,000 on Amazon.de ads. Obviously, I've made more than that, but that's €2,000 Amazon wouldn't have if I hadn't badgered my way into that platform. So, I know they're dealing with it. They are aware that it's frustrating, and I'm sure that would change. But we will update people as and when we're able to.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, that's that tricky subject out of the way. Now we're going to talk about the Amazon Ads platform. I know you're going to talk specifically about your foray into Germany. But first of all, do you want to give just a quick overview for those people who may have got a little bit lost in that discussion about the Advantage dashboard, about what Amazon ads are and why they're useful for authors?
Yeah, we'll ignore Advantage for now. Other than that's what I'm using to advertise into Germany, but we'll concentrate on the KDP dashboard for the next few minutes. So there are basically two ways that you can advertise, or two kinds of ads that you can run through KDP. They all go to the US. You can't advertise outside the US at the moment through that channel. But you have sponsored keyword ads and you have lock screen ads. Lock screen ads are the ones that will appear as you pick up your Kindle and wake it. So if I don't know whether you can switch those off if you pay extra to do that.
You can. When I set up a new Kindle recently, and I think it was an option at the beginning.
Yeah, but there's still a big install base in the US of millions of Kindles, and you're able to put your ad slightly bigger than it would be the case on site, on the Kindle Fire, for example, or on a Paperwhite or whatever e-ink device you're using. So those ads show up, and you then get the chance to hit the button to go through to Amazon and find out more about the book that's been advertised. So there's those ones to start with, and then there are sponsored keyword ads that you're basically bidding on keywords. And a keyword isn't a word; it could be a phrase. So it could be Mark Dawson thriller. Would be a keyword. Those 3 words would be a keyword. What I would be doing is I'd tell Amazon that when people go to Amazon and hit the search bar and type in the words Mark Dawson thriller, assuming that there's more than one person out there who wants to bid on those words, which to be fair to me, there probably are these days, I would be entering into an auction with those people, and I'm telling Amazon I'm prepared to bid up to a certain amount per click. So maybe I'm prepared to pay 50 cents per click every time for when someone types that search in. If I win that auction, my ad will be shown to someone who is looking for a Mark Dawson thriller. So if you're James Blatch, and you know, obviously you are James Blatch, if you're trying to get my readers, you bid 60 cents. So when someone types in Mark Dawson thriller, they see this mythical book which will appear at some point before the end of the world.
I'm going to target you relentlessly.
Well, good luck, because I've got deep pockets and I will crush you. That's banter, by the way. Yeah, or is it? Yeah, so that's the aim now. I mean, you might say, why am I bidding on my own name? Now, there's lots of, we go down a big rabbit hole about why I would do that. But let's another example, Lee Child thriller. So I know my books are like his. So whenever someone types in, they're looking for a Lee Child thriller, they maybe would type in Jack Reacher book, Lee Child's new adventure, whatever. I want my book to appear in those search results. And if I can peel off a percentage of people who might have been looking for his books by persuading them that perhaps mine is cheaper, they haven't read me before, they see lots of great reviews, whatever, I can start to sell books to people who I know are looking for those kinds of thrillers. So that's the distinction between the two ads. And
okay, let me can I ask you a couple of questions about that? So in terms of the assets and the presentation, I mean, we know more or less how Facebook ads work. We talked to Shane about that, and BookBub ads are basically very small image based. What are you creating as an asset for the ad on Amazon ads?
Well, one of the benefits of that the ads is that it's not time intensive in terms of what you put together. So they will pull your cover, it will pull your number of reviews and the average star rating. So you'll see that kind of 5 stars shaded up to 5 or whatever it is, and the number of reviews and the cover. What you get to do on most ad varieties is you'll get the chance to write a little bit of copy that will be intended to shift the books. So they're quicker to run than Facebook ads because you don't need to go to a designer and ask for imagery. That's already taken care of for you.
Okay, so that's nice and easy. It's using the actual product as it exists on Amazon. But do you write a little bit of copy? Did you say?
You do, yeah. You don't always. Some ads won't let you, but for most of the time you would write a little bit.
Okay, so that's the platform as it exists, and the why and how. Now, you're going to give us an example of something you've been using the platform for successfully recently.
Yeah, I mean, not just Amazon, so Facebook as well. What I think is useful. I touched on this on Wednesday's podcast. It's when the course launches, it's very difficult sometimes for me to give examples that would demonstrate to authors who are a little early on in their careers that they need to be advertising, because I spend a fair bit on ads every day. I have done for a long time. I've got a big email list now. Amazon is organically marketing my books. And when I post income reports into the Facebook group, it is difficult, and I'm always aware that people might look at that and think, "Well, this means nothing to me because I'm further ahead because I've been doing it for longer." So then I kind of stumbled upon the realization that what I'm doing in Germany actually is perfect for this kind of purpose, because I have no readers. No, first of all, I don't speak German, not really, not even a word of it. Nine words, yes. Yeah. I don't speak the language. I don't have any readers. I effectively wasn't selling any books. I've got a couple of books. I think 3 Milton books were picked up by a German traditional publisher, translated and sold, and they sell a bit but little. So I can't really say I've got a readership over there. Which is that's what a new author would be like if they were advertised. When you launch your book, that will be what you're like. You'll be slightly ahead of that because you've got a little bit of a mailing list, but most people won't have a list. They won't have any platform at all, that's exactly the position I was in. Now, what I do have is a little bit of knowledge about how to advertise and a little bit of money to be able to afford to start running some ads, but even at a fairly low level. So I looked back into it. Well, kind of scrolling back a bit, I decided a while ago, I did an Amazon Academy event in Berlin, must be 2 years ago now. So I basically was dragged along as a UK author to tell the German authors what I was doing in the UK so they could maybe learn some things and start doing it in Germany. And I got talking to a few authors there and realized that I think it's the third most advanced, maybe fourth after actually maybe fifth in terms of kind of developed Amazon markets: US, UK, Canada, Australia, probably Germany. It's in that kind of a second tier. So it's coming up fast, but second tier. So there's much less competition in terms of authors. I don't know what the size of the store is for books in German, but it will be much, much less than it is for the UK or for the US. Fewer authors, but a big readership that has embraced Amazon. So it's not one of those Latin countries where Amazon is attacked by the government, for example, as is the case in France.
It's not a Latin country.
France is no, I suppose not. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Effing banter. Anyway, so I could see there's an opportunity there. So I came away, found a translator who actually has translated Stieg Larsson before, and a couple of other, very well-known Donatart he's done. So, I knew he was good. That was my filter, was, what has he done in terms of high-profile books? So I didn't, because I can't check his translations because I don't speak German. So I needed some external validation. So that was what I did. And I paid him the three Beatrix Rose books were the ones that I wanted to go with first because they're fairly discreet. They're 60,000 words each, so not very long, and could be boosted by a TV show next year. So I thought they're perfect for this to test. So I sent them off to him, and he translated them. And it took a long while. We'll have another podcast about translating later because it's very interesting. And I've run into obstacles I just didn't see coming. Lots of times, but he was very patient with me. We got there in the end, and the books launched earlier this year, 3 at once. And I'm just kind of looking at on the other screen here and we'll take a grab of this and put it on for the YouTube show. But in March I sold maybe 5 or 10 books. Nothing really, very small, and that was the case for a while. I had a bit of a boost initially because I had some readers I've got like 100,000 readers on my main list. Odds are there must be 100 people who'd like to read in German on that list, and they all went and bought it immediately, and then that was it. So nothing really happened there. Not selling enough for Amazon to market particularly aggressively for me. Just kind of drifted, and so I then started to look at let's start putting some levers, the kinds of ones I pull all the time for US and UK sales. So I started to run some Amazon ads, and then I started to run some Facebook ads, and the effect, and bear in mind just what I said before, unknown author, no one knows who I am, but they're starting to work really well. So yesterday, for example, I sold €300 worth of those books in German. €300 a day. If I did that for 365 days, we did some maths earlier, that's just over €100,000 for 3 books. Right, I've got a 35 book catalog, which I am now obviously looking to translate. So it has been an effective experiment to the extent that I'm now looking at. I've got my brother, actually. Perhaps we'll get my brother on the show at some point, but he is now kind of working for me and is now running that part of the business. So we're finding a Spanish translator, we're finding a French translator, and I've got some quite funky ways of actually getting those costs paid for by selling other subsidiary rights in the translation, which will be quite interesting for.
Sorry, did you tell us how much it cost you to get the book translated?
Yeah, no, I don't think I did. These ones were I'm in the black. Sorry, in the red. I wish I was in the black, but I'm in the red by about €16,000. So around about 5,000 per book in terms of translation costs. And then, of course, translations are new literary works. They need to be edited. I didn't realize that.
Right.
So you can add another 1,000 on top of that. And then covers. Of course, you need different versions of the covers. So I got Mr. Beisch to run some German covers up. And of course, they need to be in German. And then it's like, okay, well, how am I going to describe myself as a million-selling author? I need to do that in German. So luckily, I've got some a hat tip to Tom, who not young Tom. This is a reader of mine called Tom in Germany, who is a translator, and he helped me a bit with things like ad copy. Again, needs to be in German, and the copy for the cover, things like that. So he helped me with all of that. So you can see you basically run into things all the time. It's like, oh shit, I don't speak German. That's going to be a problem. But anyway, that's all done now. But the exercise cost me, I think, around about €17,000 all in. And at the moment, I have chipped away about 3,000 euros of that. So profit, I'm making. I did the numbers in preparation for this podcast, so I'll just run through them now because they're probably interesting. In February this year, I made 199 euros. So this is sales. So this is revenue, not profit. So revenue 199 in February. March 1475. April 2445, and then May, with 1 day to go as we record this, 4553. And then the costs that associate with that, February there was no cost, so I didn't spend anything, so no ads at all. In March, I spent 992 euros on Facebook ads, and 47 on AMS. Then 1,500 on Facebook in April, and 850 AMS. And then in May, 922 on Facebook and 917 on AMS. So bringing the cost down a bit, but profit has really gone up. So return on investment this month is looking at around about 148%. So that's fantastic. That is why I'm prepared to jump another 15,000 euros into translating some Milton books, because once I get the backlist available in German. There's a lot of German readers out there. The market is not, I think, comparable to the UK. Mm-hmm. This could be, no competition on both the platform and for the ads. The ads are much cheaper as well. It's a big opportunity to, really make some serious money, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's worth mentioning also at this stage that we've got a podcast interview coming up. I'm not sure when it's scheduled for. In fact, it's very soon, 21st of June, with a man called Mark Reclau, who is in southern Spain, near Barcelona. Now, he talks in the same way about Amazon ads platform in Spain that you're talking about it in Germany. Is it's getting going. He's making hay. He's a bit like you. He's on the inside. He gets invited in by Amazon to try a few new products out and so on. So it might be worth talking to him at some point if Spain's on your radar in the future. But it's a big market. Yeah. The platform is there because they've developed it in the UK and the US, and they're porting it over to these countries. And if you're in early, it's a little bit like being back in 2011, 2012, where if you get it right,
that's exactly how I look at it. I didn't have that early mover advantage in the UK and the US when I was reasonably early, but certainly there were many people way ahead of me. But that might not be the case for these other markets. And things are coming out. So, for example, Audible has just opened Audible Latino. So you're not just selling Spanish books to the Spaniards, you're selling them to a big market in the US, and other Portuguese for Brazil, and it's a big opportunity.
So let me ask you, why German? Because German is spoken in Germany and a few other places in the world, but compared to Spanish, which is widely spoken.
The German platform, Amazon.de, is more established, in my opinion, than Amazon. ES, yeah, and obviously you can sell the .com will enable you to reach Latino readers, but in my opinion, that's the Amazon German market is quite advanced, and there are a lot of readers there.
I also think culturally there's quite a lot of similarity in taste between Germany and the UK, particularly spy books, Cold War books. In fact, this is something I should be interested in. If my books starts to make enough money, I should look at Germany, because I think they do like their Cold War thrillers like we do in the UK.
Absolutely.
Good. So, by the way, they're euros, those figures in the spreadsheet. So
actually, no, so I have a spreadsheet. We're not going to show this spreadsheet to anybody else, but they're actually in dollars, because the income coming in, I should have said, I know I said euros. The income coming in is reported via book report in dollars.
Okay.
So I just convert my spend, and my Facebook ads spend in dollars. So I just converted the AMS from euros to dollars.
I think euro and dollars fairly close at the moment, certainly compared to the pound. So
not a million miles away. Yeah.
Good. Okay. And you're confident. So you talk about this slow start, and then by May is the month that you're looking at and thinking, this is it. This is going to work. I can now start investing again. Are you confident you're going to replicate
I saw
that?
it before. I saw it before then. I mean, I could see in March. I mean, made a 50% return on investment. I could see there was potential there. It was really weird. I mean, we'll put this on the show. There was a point where on around about the 24th of May, I switched on a new Facebook ad. So it is nothing sophisticated. It was just targeting people in Germany who like authors like me, so Lee Child, Baldacci, James Patterson, all those kinds of guys. And the difference between I think on the 23rd, I'll be precise, I'll say exactly what it was. So on the 22nd of May, I sold 47 of those 3 books. Then 44 on the 23rd. I switched the ads on the 24th and sold 154. So it's nearly quadrupled. And you can see, I've also will put in a grab of, in fact, I'm going to be posting, I think I emailed about this earlier this week with regards to the ads launch. You can see on my Facebook dashboard when those clicks started to register on Facebook, and it ties up completely. And it couldn't be anything else. There's nothing else, no other, nothing else had hit. And without doing anything else with the ads, yesterday sold 176, and right now at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, what is it? I don't even know what time it is.
2:25.
Yeah, 225. So I've sold 94 already today. So it's going to be hitting around about 180 by the time the day's done. That's 180 books, not cheap. They're 299 full price books. So that's 350 euros, something like that. And the ad spend is around I'd say about a third of that.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's your German foray, and there's something to talk about, I think, in a future episode more about that process. We have touched on this, I think, once before. We had a discussion about foreign rights, which largely dealt with finding an agent to do that for you. But we are moving towards this being something you can set up yourself by picking the right expert team.
I have had the chance to sell foreign rights before, and I've been annoyed that my agent wasn't able to, because I don't like leaving money on the table, and it really felt like there's a lot of money being left on the table. I'm more and more thinking I'm very pleased that didn't happen, because those 3 Milton books that are translated, they did not sell that many copies yesterday. I doubt they've sold that many copies this month. So I'm actually looking. I've sold 3 Milton books. I'm not going to sell any more. I'm going to translate them myself. I may even try and buy those books back.
Yeah.
So that everything is consistent. It's all branded, and I make 70% on that rather than 10%, and my agent takes another 10-15% on top of that. So I'll be getting pennies, whereas I could be getting euros. So
Yeah. How long's that contract for?
I can't remember. One of them. It's weird. One of the books. It's quite weird how the German deal went down. They didn't buy the first in the series. They started in the middle. So they bought 3 books, 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
I don't know why they did that. It doesn't make any sense to me. My books, they will stand alone, but they make a lot more sense if you read them from the start. So they've done that. I think one of them is sold okay-ish. I don't think it's sold well enough that they want to buy any more, which is good, because I'm not selling it anymore. But I would probably quite like. I think the other downside to this is, as I sell more books like this, people will start to think, okay, well, he's also got these other German books. I'll buy some of those. So I'm probably making the price of buying those books back is probably more expensive.
Yeah, you need to get your offer in now, don't you? Before that starts happening.
Well, I'm kind of hoping they don't notice.
I hope they don't listen to this podcast episode.
No, and I'm also ranking quite highly now, so I'm in the top 250 to 300 in the German store, and at, near the top of the category. So they may notice, but wherever.
Okay, all right. So that's your German foray. Most people are going to be using the Amazon Ads platform in the US and in the UK, and then a few other territories. Is it worth just mentioning Australia, Canada, South Africa? I mean, what's the situation in those other English-speaking countries?
Well, you can't advertise. I mean, Facebook can advertise anywhere. So Facebook, that's why people absolutely should not dismiss Facebook. It is very, very important. It still is, always has been. And as people migrate to other platforms and they neglect Facebook at their peril, there's a reason why on the sales page for the ads course we still major with Facebook. It's a big system that enables you to do tons of things all around the world. So when I switched on, when I told you about that jump to 176 copies, that was a Facebook ad that did that. It wasn't an Amazon ad that I switched on. It was Facebook. So Facebook will get you into Australia. I've used Facebook ads well in Australia for a long time. Canada, anywhere really. I know Alex Nichols, who's an alumni of the course, ranks regularly in the top 10 in France, and it's Facebook ads. Right, she uses Facebook ads. Shane Silvers uses a lot of Facebook ads. This is, they work. They just work. And in those developing markets, they work really well because no one else is doing it. So the clicks will be cheaper.
That's top trolling to call France a developing country.
I don't mean. Yes. I can see that triggered your banter.
My sense of colonial.
Yes, but I mean in the sense that they are developing that platform.
Yeah.
We're not saying France is not a third world country or anything along those lines. Yeah. So Facebook is still key for that. You can advertise on Amazon in all those markets, but you need to get an Advantage account, and that kind of goes back to what we said earlier about how hard that is these days.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's round up back with the UK, US, and the more accessible market for people to get started on Amazon ads. I remember at the beginning. Well, first of all, we always say start slowly. Wait until an ad starts working before you scale up, and at that point, scale up slowly and don't spend more than you can afford to lose, a bit like going into a casino. With that caveat, I remember in the early days of Amazon ads, you and others complaining that they wouldn't take your money. You wanted to scale up and you found it quite difficult. Is that still the case?
There are ways around it, and I cover some of those in the course I re-recorded this week. So yeah, there are. I'm spending, I don't know, 10,000 a month on Amazon ads at the moment, across different platforms along those lines. It is actually 10 to 11,000, I think. So yeah, you can do it. You just have to know how to get them to scale. And there is a way to do that. And you have to be quite aggressive with your bidding. You need to make sure that your foundations are secure, so you know exactly what your read through is, what your profit is, and then you've got redundancies in place so that you're not just relying on one calculation that might be a little bit of a guesstimate. You've got you have a costs in, money out, and you can see quite clearly how spending more should lead to making more, and if it doesn't, then you need to investigate to see what's going wrong. But again, we cover that in the course, and it's something that I'm very cautious and very careful to make sure people are always aware that this is not free.
Yeah.
Amazon, Facebook will definitely take your money. Facebook's very good at that. Amazon will also take your money if you follow certain rules, and you want to make sure that you're not spending too fast. By all means, you'll need a testing budget to make sure that you learn. But on the other hand, you've got to be ready to make some mistakes and learn from them, and then start to scale up and make some money.
Okay, well, you mentioned the course then, so I'm going to mention it again. It's open currently for about 3 weeks. It opened on Wednesday this week, and we'll close it at the very latest 3 weeks. It might close slightly before then. And you can find out all about it at selfpublishingformula.com/ads for authors, all one word. Good. Mark, anything else to add on the Amazon ads platform?
No, that's pretty much it. So yeah, definitely. If you're advertising, good luck. It's a good chance, good opportunity to be doing it right now.
And watch this space, because having just completed the re-record of the sessions to bring it bang up to date, it may well change. And I have hunches like you do about this, but it seems to me that there's enough evidence that there's a clamour for a more sophisticated platform and ads, and it makes complete commercial sense for Amazon to to make that available to authors. So there will be something coming down the line, I'm sure. Good. Excellent. Well, it's been really fun this week doing these three catch up really on the core business that you do, which is the paid ads platform. That's what you're known for in the indie world. And
I would think it's for writing really great books, but I'll take that as well.
Well, you're known for that in the reader world. There you go.
True.
That's a compliment. Yes. Wasn't banter. Okay, good. Thank you very much indeed. We're going to be back as normal to be weekly in the next few weeks. We have, that Mark Recklau interview coming up. We also have Ryan Scow coming up. So Ryan, I feel bad because this interview was recorded a long time ago in autumn last year, but it's really great. And Ryan's a super guy, a nice guy who's so full of enthusiasm for what he's done. He's recorded fantastic success, and he's gone from zero, trying to be a writer, to living comfortably as a writer, and it's a great success story. That's next week. Then Mark Recklau, who is actually German, by the way, but living in Spain.
I know.
The week after, as a non-fiction author who's using paid ads very successfully. Good. I think we've got seconds left on the camera, so I'm going to say thank you very much indeed for watching this week. It's a goodbye from me.
and a goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Get show notes, the podcast archive, and free resources to boost your writing career at selfpublishingshow.com. Join our thriving Facebook group at selfpublishingshow.com/Facebook. Support the show at patreon.com/selfpublishingshow. And join us next week for more help and inspiration so that you can make your mark as a successful indie author. Publishing is changing, so get your words into the world and join the revolution with the Self-Publishing Show.